Welcome, one and all, sisters, brothers, fathers, mothers, to another one of my special wizard tales.
Easter in Bunnyland. With the arrival of spring in Bunnyland after a long, cold winter, the sun began shining brightly again. The snow quickly melted, and the fields were soon covered in lovely grass and beautiful flowers. Birds began singing in the trees, while butterflies danced among the blooms. Then, in the blink of an eye, all the little animals began emerging from their burrows. Baby foxes and fawns, and of course, bunny rabbits. Lots of them. One, Buck Rabbit, was hopping down the road to see his best friend Flip, a most irresponsible, unreliable rabbit. Buck had promised his sister, Bitsy, they would meet her at the swimming hole in the river. He made his way into Flip's bedroom, where he found his friend still fast asleep.
"Flip, you slept in again!"
cried Buck. Flip opened his eye and saw how unhappy Buck was.
"I'm really sorry, Buck. Just can't seem to wake up on time. I promise I won't ever do it again,"
he said, climbing out of bed.
"You always promise never to do it again, Flip. Now we're late. Bitsy's gonna think we're not coming,"
replied Buck. The two rabbits quickly made their way outside and began running towards the swimming hole. Bitsy, who was quite bossy and hated anyone being late, was most unimpressed when the two boys arrived at the swimming hole.
"Thanks for coming, guys,"
she said, standing up and preparing to dive into the water.
"Last one in's a dead rat's tail."
The youngsters were having all sorts of fun in the water when their old enemy, Beau Rat, and his ratty sidekick, JJ, sneaked up to spy on them from behind a rock.
"I say, JJ, what say we play a little trick on these silly bunnies?"
said Beau, reaching down and taking a handful of dripping mud from the ground. He was just about to fill the pockets of the bunnies' clothes with the mud when there was a stern voice of Oliver Owl from the tree above.
"Leave those clothes alone, you two. They're not your property,"
said Oliver, before flying off. As soon as Oliver was gone, the two naughty rats quickly filled the bunnies' pockets with mud anyway. Imagine, a few minutes later, the rabbits' surprise at finding their pockets filled with mud.
Disgusting,"
said Bitsy. Just then, the three rabbits heard Emily Fieldmouse, who lived near the swimming hole.
"Oh my goodness! What's your mama's gonna say
She squeaked sharply.
when they sees how dirty and disgusting you all are?"
The three bunnies quickly went off to clean up. On the way, they found Mrs. O'Hare with all of her many children.
"Oh, look at you all!"
said Mrs. O'Hare, seeing how dirty their clothes were.
"Flip, have you been leading them astray again?"
She asked.
No, honest, Mrs. O'Hare.
Protested Flip.
"All right, off with those clothes and we'll have them washed in no time at all. And no trouble from you, Flip,"
said Mrs. O'Hare.
Oh, never, Mrs. O'Hare. Honest, double honest,"
promised Flip. It didn't take very long for Mrs. O'Hare to wash and dry their clothes. The three young rabbits were just about to leave when Oliver Owl suddenly swooped in.
"Ooh, big news, big news! The Easter Bunny is coming to Bug Tussle Ridge! Come on, all of you! I need your help to tell the others! No! No! No!" he shouted.
The three young rabbits quickly made off to help tell the others. As he was leaving, Flip saw a rope hanging from a tree and decided to take a swing. It was the rope holding up Mrs. O'Hara's washing line, and when it gave way, it sent all the clean clothes down on top of her and her children. All the animals became very excited about the arrival of the Easter Bunny. But when Beau Rat heard the news, he said,
Now, I got a plan for the Easter Bunny this year. A rather nasty one.
A short time later, all the animals had gathered up on Bug Tussle Ridge to wait for the Easter Bunny.
All right, everyone, quiet, please. He should be here at any moment. Ooh.
Said Oliver Owl. Just then, the Easter Bunny's huge shadow appeared over the top of the hill in front of them. All the animals broke out into a loud cheer.
The Easter Bunny!
Although his shadow was large because the rising sun was behind him, the Easter Bunny was really only a short little rabbit with big ears. The animals now became quiet as he spoke, telling them that he was again appointing old Sir Warren Rabbit to plant and harvest the magic Easter egg trees.
Sorry, I can't do it this year. Your Easterness, I won't be here.
Sir Warren responded. Everyone felt a little sad. Perhaps Sir Warren was sick.
You won't be here, Sir Warren? You're not feeling very well?
Asked the Easter Bunny.
I never felt better in my life.
Replied Sir Warren brightly.
I got married this morning. Honeymoon. Won't be here. Sorry.
The Easter Bunny thought deeply for a moment before speaking.
In that case, I'll choose someone new,
he said, looking around the crowd.
I choose, you.
He said, pointing at Flip. The crowd was stunned. They all knew how irresponsible Flip could be. Poor Flip. He could scarcely believe his ears, but he promised to do his best. The Easter Bunny then turned to leave, saying he would return in exactly 6 weeks, on Easter morning, to collect the eggs. On the way back to their burrows, Bitsy and Buck tried to tempt Flip to a picnic to eat fresh, crisp lettuce and crunchy new baby carrots with them. Poor Flip, he tried to say no. But it just wouldn't come out,
What the heck?
he said, putting down his shovel and running to the others.
Let me at those carrots!
Off they went and had a lovely feast. Afterwards, the 3 youngsters played Leap Bunny. Flip was having a wonderful time, but it was too good to last.
Flip Rabbit, you should be very ashamed of yourself.
It was the sharp voice of Emily Fieldmouse. Flip knew he was wrong to be playing instead of working and quickly returned to the garden patch. He went to pick up the sack of magic seeds he left on the ground, but to his horror, the sack wasn't there. He immediately thought Beau Rat must have taken it. Poor Flip fell on the ground and began crying.
Oh, I failed. I'm an unresponsible rabbit.
At that moment, he heard the voice of Oliver Owl up in a nearby tree.
Missing something, are we, young Flip?
You may imagine Flip's surprise when Oliver handed down the sack of magic seeds. Oliver warned Flip that he was on his last chance now.
I won't let you down. I promise I won't. I've learned my lesson. I'm a reformed rabbit.
Said Flip. Now it seemed like he really meant it. He planted all the seeds carefully and watered them every day. Flip worked so hard. When Beau Rat and JJ taunted him, Flip simply ignored them. All of Flip's hard work started paying off. The magic Easter egg seed sprouted and became a patch of seedlings that started to grow and grow and grow into lovely, healthy trees. Delicious Easter eggs began appearing on their boughs, all bright and sparkly. Flip was so proud, he was ready to burst. 6 weeks later, on the day before Easter, Bitsy asked Buck whether that night they should help Flip guard the precious Easter eggs, just in case Beau Rat and JJ tried to steal them. Unfortunately, Emily Fieldmouse, who was snooping on the pair, heard only the last few words and believed that Bitsy and Buck were going to steal the eggs. As it was, Bitsy and Buck were too tired to help, so Flip was left to do it himself. By now, Flip was exhausted from working so hard, but that night he took his torch and went to where the trees were growing and sat down to guard them. He was so tired that he promptly fell asleep where he sat. Imagine his horror when he woke up an hour before dawn on Easter morning and found that all the eggs had been stolen from the trees. Flip began running around in the dark trying to find them, only to run slap bang into Emily Fieldmouse. Emily told Flip that she'd overheard Bitsy and Buck planning to steal the Easter eggs. At first, Flip could not believe it, but Emily insisted. Flip, accompanied by Emily, immediately ran to Bitsy and Buck's house and woke them up.
I heard you down at the swimming hole saying you were gonna steal them loud and clear,
said Emily firmly. Bitsy was very angry.
Emily, I said it would be just awful if Beau Rat and JJ were to steal all the Easter eggs.
Emily was very embarrassed and apologized to everyone. Flip didn't know what to do except go straight up to Bug Tussle Ridge and tell everyone the bad news. All the animals who were still waiting for the Easter Bunny became very angry and turned on him in a fury. This only served to make Flip feel worse.
I am so sorry, everyone. I don't know what I'm gonna say to the Easter Bunny. I feel terrible.
He cried. Just as the crowd began to turn ugly, Oliver Owl called out from his tree that the Easter Bunny appeared to be missing. Oliver quickly organized search parties to go out all over Bunnyland to look for him. Flip felt he knew exactly who was behind it.
Beau Rat and JJ! They're the only ones who could have done this! I knew it!
Flip immediately volunteered to go to Beau Rat's nest in the dangerous Black Forest, but Bitsy and Buck insisted they go with him. When they reached the edge of the Black Forest, Flip warned the others about what lay ahead.
It's not gonna be easy. Beau's nest is in the scariest part of the Black Forest, and he's got a criminal bird guarding the nest, Joe the Crow.
The three crept into the Black Forest where the tall trees cast shadows that looked like wild animals. Flip suddenly had a clever idea. To make their own shadows look like a huge wild animal in order to frighten Joe the Crow, Beau Rat, and JJ away. A few minutes later, Joe the Crow was guarding Beau Rat's nest when a large shadow cast itself over him. Joe got such a shock that he flew straight off in fright.
Quack! It's a bear! There's a huge bear! Quack! Quack!
A moment later, when Beau Rat and JJ poked their heads out to see what the noise was, they too saw the huge shadow. They became so afraid, they ran off screaming in opposite directions.
Ah! Oi!
Flip, Bitsy, and Buck who had been standing on each other's shoulders to make a shadow like a bear, ran to the door and inside the smelly nest. No sooner had they entered than they heard a noise. The three quickly rounded a corner to see the poor Easter bunny tied to a chair with a gag on his mouth, and beside him piles and piles of missing Easter eggs. Back on Bug Tussle Ridge just a short time later, all the animals were still gathered there wondering what to do about their missing Easter, when Oliver Owl suddenly called out for everyone to look up towards the ridge. At that moment, Flip walked into view carrying a large sack filled with Easter eggs. The crowd was most impressed, but even more impressed when a moment later the Easter Bunny appeared. Then Bitsy and Buck, both carrying large sacks of precious Easter eggs. Everyone went absolutely wild. And why wouldn't they? And it was all due to Flip, the bunny rabbit who gave up his irresponsible ways and made everyone happy by saving Easter.
And thus another fine wizard tale concludes. Sisters, brothers, fathers, mothers, join me again soon for another classic tale. Won't you?